Hi everybody, it's Jory, and it's the end of Christmas break, which, if you're a book lover like me, it means that you know exactly what I'm going through. I had grand intentions of reading a ton of books over this break, and that didn't happen. As you're probably well aware of, things get away from you at break, and suddenly you realize you have time to watch almost all of the seasons of Flash that are available on Netflix in way less time than they should be watched in. So what I thought I would do for this video is tell you about the books that I was planning on reading during this break that I didn't end up reading because I was marathoning shows by CW. We're going to start with one of the review books that I picked up this last semester at school. It's called Into the Void by Joshua A. Johnston, and it's a sci-fi book about a voyage into the void. It's the second in a series. It follows the crew of a spaceship as they travel past explored territory and into spaces that they don't know anything about, against the wishes of most of the government. So it's been interesting. It's one of those books that when you're reading it, it's really easy to keep reading and get really into, but as soon as you put it down, it's hard to pick back up again. And it took me a long time to figure out who was who because there are like 4 different alien races, and maybe if I'd started with book 1, that would have been different. But I was confused for a good first chunk of the book. Next is Keep Christianity Weird by Michael Frost. And this one, it made me interested because it's a nonfiction about Christianity, and I tend to like those. Plus, who doesn't like being told that they're allowed to be weird? So, I was expecting a slightly different book than I got. I'm 1 or 2 chapters into it, and it's a little bit more exegetical than I was expecting it to be, but that's not a bad thing. It's just a different read than I was expecting. Anyway, I had planned on finishing this book during this break, and didn't do that. Next, we have Can't Make This Stuff Up by Susanna B. Lewis. And my goodness, reading the back of this book made me want to read it so badly. I asked my professor if she could put it on hold for me until I finished the other review books, and she told me to just take it, even though I already had like 3 other review books that I needed to read. So I look forward immensely to reading this book. It's a comedic Christian book, and I'm excited because she's a comedian, and who doesn't like laughing? Next, we have The Restorer. This one has hints of something that could be similar to Narnia or the Door Within series, both of which are some of my favorite series in the world. I'm a little bit concerned that it's going to be a little cheesy, but when I posted a picture of it on social media, somebody else was like, this is one of the best books I've ever read, so that gives me hope. Essentially, it's about a homemaker who gets sucked into another world and is given the title of Restorer, and she has to figure out what that means. So that sounded interesting enough that I was like, yeah, okay, I'll pick that up. It's by Sharon Hink. And lastly, a book that I've had on my to-read list for as long as I've had it, and then I realized it was the 3rd book in the series, and then I had to read the other 2, and then I read the other 2, and then I ran out of time to read the 3rd one. So this one, In the Afterlight, is still on my to-read list. In large part, I just need to have time to reread the entire series of The Darkest Minds now, because I remember really loving the first 2 books, but I don't remember much of what happened in them. So if I'm going to read this book, I need to read the other 2 first, which means that I need a lot more time than I currently have left because I leave Colorado and I go back to school in like 2 days. Yeah, but this book has been on my to-read list for a really long time. If you haven't read the Darkest Minds books, I highly recommend them. They're very good. Alexander Bracken created a very interesting magic system and magical world. A little bit more sci-fi, a little bit dystopian. It's a really good mix. If you liked Divergent and if you liked Hunger Games, The Darkest Minds are a really good follow-up book series for that. And if you like people with powers and like the Chosen One trope, Also, a movie about The Darkest Minds came out, I think, in October, maybe? I'll have to check that. I didn't see the movie, so I can't tell you if it's good or not, but if you wanted to read the books and then watch the movie, there's another book series that you can do that with. So, what books did you want to read this break? Let me know in the comments. What books did you read that you didn't expect to read, and did you get as much reading done as you thought you would? Let me know, and I will see you next week. If you like these videos, take a minute to consider going and supporting me on Patreon for as little as $3 a month. That's about the same price as or less than a cup of coffee from Starbucks. So I would really appreciate your consideration, and there's a link down below. Also, if you like these videos, subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss a thing. Okay, until next time, see you then. Bye.